Hey friends, welcome back. This is Ashley with Uncommon Roots Homestead, and we need to get a move on the potager garden. All right, so we've been talking about the potager garden for a long time. We've been building it. It's kind of been like slow moving. Sometimes we finish a lot in a period of time, and then other times I've shown it to you like weeks apart and it looks exactly the same. We recently leveled out all of the beds. We finished building these metal beds. We finished the bottom prep for the beds. So we did cardboard and then sticks. We're gonna top that with some mulch, and then we're gonna add compost. But it's time. We gotta get a move on. We are in the final rushing stages of get the garden ready. It's crazy to me because every year, even when we aren't building a new garden, this is an exception. We obviously are not building a whole new garden every year. This is the first time we will have planted here, with the exception of what we planted in the fall. And there's just a lot of infrastructure that you've got to get in place before spring comes. And every year, even when we just need to amend the beds, I'm always so shocked at how quickly spring comes. We go from, January to March in a blink of an eye. So right now, it's the first week of March. We are up against the gun. So you don't want to finish all your beds, finish amending, and then plant right away. You want to give time for all of that to settle. And that's why we're kind of in a time crunch now. We don't have a lot of time between right now and when we're first going to be starting to plant. We're about a month from starting to plant out in the garden, and actually shorter than that. Like, if these were ready, I would probably be sowing some hardy root vegetables now and just covering them up a little bit because our weather has been so mild. I know that in the next 10-20 days we aren't going to be dropping below freezing. I would do some of that now, but obviously not there yet. But we gotta get moving. So today we're over here on the land. We're trying to finish up the existing beds. We still don't even have all of the beds built. We still need to take trees down. That tree needs to come down, and the holly tree needs to come down. Because in that big section right there in between them, that's where all of my squash and melons are going to go. And if I don't get those trees taken care of, then the squash and melons are gonna only get about 4 to 5 hours of sunlight. You can see the space here when I'm up in it. It's a pretty sizable space. It's about, last time I measured it, it was like 80 feet by 25. So it's a good amount of space for my squash and melons, but like, we got to get moving because I not only need those trees down, but then we need to lay cardboard in all of this space, and then we need to bring in compost to put on top. We're probably looking at least 4 or 5 truckloads of compost just to do this initial stage. We again haven't started where the lavender is going to go right here. Haven't started that at all. I also have all that space. I think I'm just going to not worry about it this year. And then I've got all the space for potatoes, and my potatoes, my asparagus, my sweet potato slips, those should all be coming in the mail kind of soon. Usually they ship sometime in the middle of March. So we're up against it. I'm feeling a little bit of stress. I feel like, we had a lot of time, but obviously we had other projects too. We spent a lot of time working on the chicken yard and getting them set up for success. They're good. We do want to add quail to the farm. At this point, we're kind of putting a pin in that because every animal that you add to the farm, you're adding a whole level of things that you need to do to both prepare and also to take care of them. And right now we just have too many projects that are going on. I don't know if you can relate. I think if you are a brand new gardener and this is your first year, you can probably relate. If you are expanding your garden for the first time, you can probably relate. If you're building a homestead for the first time, or even just a homesteader or a farmer, you can probably relate. Those projects don't really slow down at all. But we got to get on it. And there's something else that I learned recently talking to my friend Fan, and that's the cicadas. I don't know why I didn't know, but had to attend to the children. So I knew that the cicadas were coming back soon, the 17-year cicadas. So here in East Tennessee, and I think pretty much everywhere, maybe not everywhere, but we have cicadas every year. The difference is how many cicadas that we have. Every 17 years, there's a special group of cicadas that hatch out, and they come in swarms, like millions of them. I've heard people who, we haven't lived here obviously for 17 years, so I don't know what it looked like last time, but I've heard people who said last time it came around, it looked like whole pastures were just like waving like water because they were just covered in cicadas. Not gonna lie, grosses me out a little bit, but what it also means is that all of these young trees that we planted, and look at this poor plum tree thinks it's spring. Fake spring, plum, it's fake spring. But all of these young trees that we planted are at risk for the cicadas essentially killing them. So what happens is the female cicadas will actually burrow into the young wood on a young tree and lay her eggs in it. And once those eggs hatch, when she does that, she kills the branch and the branch falls off. So they do this to a lot of trees. They'll do it to young branches on any tree. But the difference is with an older tree, it doesn't kill the entire tree. With these young trees, where we're looking at literally this entire tree is a young tree. Isla, what kind of tree is this? A plum. That would kill the entire tree. So we have all of these fruit trees, about 20 of them, that we now are going to need to cover. That is an apple. It is an apple. Good job. That we're gonna have to cover from like the beginning of May through the end of June. So it means a couple things. It's gonna impact the bloom. A lot of these trees will be in bloom during that time. They're not gonna bloom when they're covered. We have to keep them covered 100% of the time. It won't kill them. They'll keep getting water and nutrients, but they're not gonna really grow. But that's okay, because with these young trees, we want them to focus their effort this year on growing their roots strong instead of, producing fruit or anything anyways. But still, there's like one more thing that we have to do on top of all of the other things we're doing. Now I have to figure out how to cover all of these fruit trees. So my friend said, you got to learn how to sew or use a hot glue gun and just do it that way because it's gonna be way cheaper. I'm not sure how we're gonna cover them, but add it to the list. And if you live somewhere where the cicadas are coming this year and you have young fruit trees, then make sure that you have a plan for them. And not even just fruit trees, I think it's any tree. Make sure you have a plan for them, because when they come en masse, you're gonna lose your trees. And that's really the only thing that they're gonna bother. Other than that, they'll die. They're gross, but not really a big deal. I read somewhere that the chickens might eat them, so that's interesting. Maybe we'll save some money on chicken feed for those 2 months. But right now I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed with how much we need to get done before spring is here. So what I'm gonna do right now is spend some time over here, finish up the cardboard and the sticks, start bringing the mulch in. We still need to mulch all the blueberries down there. They're playing. I think you guys told me that these flowers are daffodils. I think you're right. Fury went ahead and ate them today, so it is what it is. It all comes with the territory. But this just kind of goes hand in hand with how much anticipation and excitement, and sorry guys, the wind is crazy right now. How much anticipation and excitement that there is with the coming, there he goes. So like I was saying, it kind of comes with the territory, the amount of excitement and anticipation that we have for this new season and this new place and a new garden. It comes with a level of preparation and stress. And all right. So those things come hand in hand, right? Like, no good thing that's worth the work that you're gonna put into it is gonna come without the other side. And I think that it makes it that much better. It makes all of the work, all the effort, all the stress, all the preparation, all of the, you know, I mean, once I get seeds in the ground, then there's the constant monitoring and making sure that everything's the way that you want it. That all leads to the value that that fruit has when you hold it in your hand at the end of the harvest. So while I go to finish these beds, that's what I'm going to be thinking about. I'm going to be thinking about the value that this is adding to the harvest, and that if you don't have to work for something, you don't appreciate it nearly as much as you do when you have to work for it. And that's what we're doing right now. This is the work. So let's get to it. All right, friends, well, we successfully got mulch in 3 of those beds. We still have 3 more 6x3 and then 4 more metal beds, and then all right, so we just have a couple more. Okay, well, no, we just finished a couple. We have a few more than a couple left, but everybody is losing it here. It's about time. It's hard when you have young kids to come and get a lot done as a family. What? Oh. Like I said, we're about to our done point here. It's kind of how it goes, and I think that's why things take us not just a little bit longer, but also we fall a little bit more behind schedule. But we have the mulch to do this project. Honestly, if Kevin came over here for an afternoon by himself, he could probably finish it up. But each of these beds is taking 2 wheelbarrow fulls of mulch, and then they'll take probably 2 or 3 wheelbarrow fulls of compost. Woo, the wind. So in the next couple of days, hopefully, we're able to finish up the rest of the mulch, and then we'll start bringing in compost. We are essentially creating the no-dig method, back to Eden style gardening here in raised beds. And then we're gonna do something really similar as we build out kind of the in-ground portion. So we'll lay the cardboard, like I was saying in another video, and then we'll cover with a thin layer of mulch, and then we'll do compost on top. And that mulch will actually compost. So it's not the kind of mulch that you get at the store or anything like that. It's not, they're not perfect pieces, and they're not dyed. It actually just comes from a tree that was mulched. So it adds some really good organic matter that breaks down over time and creates compost itself. So we really like adding that to our beds. Not only does it help add volume, where it would be really expensive to bring in compost from outside and fill beds from scratch, but also it just helps add some of the, these trees came right from our property. So it helps kind of add that back, back to the beds. So we're gonna head home and get these kids some rest time and try to rest and recuperate ourselves before a busy week this week. But I wanted to thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you coming on this journey with me to get the potager garden ready. And the more I think about it, the more, how cool is it going to be in just a couple of short months when we're out here harvesting the potager garden together. I can't wait for that, and I can't wait to share it with you. Until next time.